So in this video, I show you how you can create a new item, how to copy an item, and how to integrate it in your website so that it is online bookable. Also, I will show you what you have to pay attention to and what variations we have to integrate the widgets into your website. So let's get into it. On the left side, on the menu, to the inventory, here you can see all your items in your inventory that you have created. And there's two different ways to create new items and add it to your inventory. So one option is to go to the right side, to the plus, which shows add. And there we have different kind of articles, kind of a pre-selection, which I have to explain a little bit. So usually you would probably take a rental. Then you have infinite services for every kind of service option that you offer. So everything that doesn't really have stock, that is limited. So this is for all these kind of items. Then we have the type percentage for example, insurances that have a fixed price model. So just as an example, you have deductible to lower and the price is 5% of the main item. Then you could create a percentage item because it enables you to create a price model, a price rule, and then on your main item. Then we have our deposit item that is very much different from the other item sorts because it's specifically for deposits. It doesn't go up in your revenue, for example, because it's not relevant for your revenue. It's just a retention of money, so to say. So it should not show up in your invoice numbers in the invoice amount, but just as an additional information. That's why the deposit items are a different kind of category than the other items. Then here we have our bundles, where you can combine multiple products to a single one. So you have objects that you can insert into one main object, which, for example, can differ in its availabilities from the other specific item that belongs to the same main item. So, for example, I have a boat that will be rented out during the usual opening times, for example, 8 to 18. And I want to have a special offer, which only counts Monday to Wednesday, and that only before lunch, for example. So I would create a bundle item and I would put my main item into this bundle and give it specific availability options or availability rules, maybe a different pricing. But like this, I will make sure that if my boat is rented out during the normal times, it would be also rented out during the special offer and the other way around. So Java bookings will be excluded. I will create a rental and select the rental item. And now I will get into the interface to adjust my object options. So now let's say I want to create a new trailer. I will upload an image, for example, this trailer picture. And of course I can upload several pictures. I only have this one here now. No, this one is not perfect. Maybe take care that you choose a square because it will fit the icons best. So now I will choose an article name. So you can also use this for any kind of types or for the weight. I'll now put a type, for example, bed, box trailer, whatever suits best. Now I have to select the location and the segment. So where will it be shown in my inventory, in my rental segment, or my accessories? I will leave this here right now. So now I can go into the detailed description. I can get some description in here, maybe something that is relevant for the contract or any kind of information that are important for the customer. So here we have search or create a new group. I will need this as kind of a category to later add this into my booking flow. So I could maybe just start typing trailer to see if we have this group already. We don't. So I can create this new group with the name trailer. What exactly we need this for, I will explain to you in a minute. But now I will look into my stock. If you manage your stock, you can see there's one object of this trailer at the moment, but if I have several ones, I can add the stock, for example, 5 of them, and they will be numbered individually. Of course, I can go and change their names. Trailer, for example, trailers will be numbered 2 accordingly if I add more of them. Yeah, for that, I need my double brackets, and that will look like that. I want to start with the 1, for example. I will add some brackets, and it will count through until 5. So, of course, I could use these namings for license plate numbers or for serial numbers so that I can put these individual items on the contract so that the customer knows exactly what trailer he rented, for example. So basically now I have added a grouped item, and in here we have the main item on top, and my stock consists of these 5 trainers. And to save this, I just need to confirm this, and I'll click the confirmation button, and at the same time, I can still click on my trailer and give them separate IDs, for example, and use their individual QR code and, for example, in a status to block one of these IDs for a time range, not one whatsoever, but I will get into this deeper later on. Now, one different item category that I want to show you real quick is our variation. So if I want to add a new article and I choose the rental with variations, this is suitable, for example, for helmets, for clothing, where we have the same base prices and same descriptions, same images, but I want to offer different sizes, for example. So I can go into here and manage my stock, and you can see these different options, and I can go into here and give them different names, for example, size S or size M. Of course, I have to name them correctly, but I can say, okay, I have 10 of my S helmets and 10 of my R helmets, and it's just about renaming it correctly so I can create different variations. So now I will go back into my main article creation. So in the end, I have one article that is shown for the customers, but my quantity of them in my inventory is 5, 6, 7, however many I created beforehand. So now I still need a base price to finish my article creation. I'll go into here and say this is 30 euros per unit, and the unit I choose can differ. Of course, we can say that counts per day, per hour, and this is just a base price, and the specific price rules that can be created later on. I can choose different tax rates, for example, in Austria, for example, in Switzerland. We can, of course, differ from that. So if I want to specify my pricing model, I can always add a pricing rule and add a custom rule. there's different variations of pricing rules. So if there are questions, you can always come up to our support team and they will help you with that. One recommended pricing rule will be the duration-based pricing. So if I go into here and click that, I will select that the base price is started because I will override it anyway. And now I can add different rows to specify my pricing. So now, for example, I will go into here and select 1 hour. That will be 30 euros. And for now, I will pay 0 for every extra hour. I will explain this in detail in just a second. I will go on to the next row and say that we will need a set hour definition, or 50. And again, we need a 0 on here for every extra hour. And the next row, I will say, okay, for every additional day that has started, I still need the same unit as before. So I will use these hours. The customer will pay 80. So the first hour will cost 30 euros. Every additional hour will cost 0. That means 2 hours cost 30, 3 hours cost 30, and 4 hours cost 30 euros. Up until the definition of my 5th hour, which will be 50 euros. And again, there will be 0 extra euros for every additional hour up until my next row, which are 24 hours and a little bit more, so that the system will give a new price, which is the 80 euros for every second started day of the rental. So if the customer chooses a time or a duration of his rental, which is more than 24 hours, I could also just say 25, for example. It'll calculate the second day price or the 2-day price, which is not exactly the 2-day price, but a little bit less. And in here, you see the 25 euros for every extra day again. And of course, I can also set some limits and add another row to define a whole week. Or I could say like, we need 7 days, which are like 7 times 24 hours. And I don't calculate the exact numbers now here to make it a realistic price, but you could say, okay, for 7 days, the customer will pay this price, and every additional day would just be 20 euros, for example. So I will save this now real quick and go back to our overview. Now you can see that we have an additional pricing rule, and that will override our base price. And this is just one example. Of course, we have a variety of different pricing rules. So this can be a complex topic, of course, and maybe it's necessary to test it out a little bit. And of course, if there's questions, you can always ask our support team for additional help. So now on the right side, you can see our availability, and don't mix it up with the opening times of your location, which defines the base availability of all your objects anyway. But if there's any items that need some specification, you can open up the base availability. Even though the location says that we are open 24/7, you could still define in the item availabilities that we only have Monday to Friday or booking times for this exact printer. And what we can add here as well is a break time. For example, if the last renter comes back late and we need a break to make sure that the next booking can start in time, we could add a break, for example, of 1 hour for this specific item. Also, you could add a lead time, which would make sense for this case, to add, for example, 1 hour of preparation time for your business. So now I have added my availability rules, my pricing rules, the base article name, images, pictures, and I managed my stock. And now I maybe additionally want to handle the handover process, to maybe add damages, to maybe add a status. And for that, I can go into my specs. Here I have a lot of additional options to set up. we'll go to my setup interface, and here I can add for every single ID my damage diagram below my picture. And later on, I can mark my damages directly on the picture. Furthermore, I can add some dimensions and download my QR code for this ID. And we can go into our specs, damages, and I need to save.
Yep.
And then I can add some new damages that exist already, because every damage that is created during a rental will be marked individually during the setup or the handover process. Another interesting option is the condition part. That is interesting maybe for car rentals specifically. Here I can add mileage options, fuel level, for example, the fuel policy. And I can add a cleanliness scale through our additional costs if the item is returned in a very dirty or dirty condition. For example, I can put some fees in here that will be added to the customer's invoice. So of course that doesn't really suit our how-to for a trailer right now, but still it's interesting. So then I'll go again into my availability option in here. So I could, for example, say there is a limit type, and I could say that there is a maximum of 2 trailers that can be rented in exactly one booking, and exactly the same booking. So, for example, I created 5 or 6 objects, and I want to prevent that the customer can go and add all of my stock to his cart, so I can limit the amount to 2 trailers. And by the way, this is also a method for protecting yourself from possible competitors, maybe, so that they don't try to rent out or book out or reserve even in the cart on all of your stock at the same time. So what else do we have? Maybe accounting details. I could add a revenue account ID or other specifications that are necessary for my tax office or downloads whatsoever. One more interesting thing would be the status, which I already talked about earlier. So for every single one of my IDs, I can select a new status, for example, blocked or disabled, and defect, whatever is necessary at the moment for the specific ID, just mark the item as not available at the moment. Now we can go to our protocol configuration. So in here, I could copy a checklist that I have already created, or I could add different fields to, for example, upload a picture during the handover process, or to fill out some checklists if it's necessary to check some boxes, check the driving license, for example, of the customer, check the ID, or check that we all have the equipment of the car, of the trailer, whatsoever, that is necessary to hand it over, and that the customer can confirm that he received every kind of equipment, every necessary documentation. So for my trailer, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. I will go back into my inventory, and now I can also see my new trailer that I have created here. I can still do adjustments and edit my item. I could also open my widgets in here to copy the code for integrating this specific article into my website. We have an extra video for showing you how to integrate objects or widgets into the website, and basically it's just about copying and pasting some code, but you can get deeper into that into our other videos. So another important thing to make our trailer bookable is in my settings and in the booking flow, I will go into my steps, and now I want to enable my trailer to be rented out as an accessory because I'm in a car rental here, and I want to make it possible that this trailer can be rented as an accessory to my cars. So I will go into my accessory step and to the segment groups. And now I can type in my group that I have created in my item before. And I will say it's called trailer. I can see this in here already. It isn't just selected. Now I can save this. And now my trailer is inserted as an accessory to my cars. At the same time, I can go into my main step and just say that I want to have my trailer available as a main item. So I could go into my cars step and say, okay, I also want trailers to be rented out there. And I can add my tag in here as well. So my trailer will be available in both my cars steps and my accessory step. Of course, I can check this now. So I can go into my widget configurator and I will select a widget type. So I can select my group search, and now in here I can see my first cars step, and if I scroll down, I should see my trailer right here. Now I can go ahead and click on it and see my details, trailer description, my availability. Now it is bookable right here. Of course, in the opening times of relocation, you go ahead, choose some booking dates. And if I keep going now and check out now, you can see in the first accessory step that I still have my trailer in here. Because I said I want to have it available in both of these steps and not just dependent on other articles or, well, single. So this is just to demonstrate here that this works both ways. So then there's another way of creating a new object. So I can go back into my inventory. And now I can say, okay, I have created this trailer, but I have a similar one or another one that only has small differences. So I can go in here, these 3 dots, and I can say clone, to copy it, and now I can see my clone in here. So if I go here, of course I need to name this, maybe change the type. Here you have to pay attention because the status of this object now is internal, so that if you create a clone, not 2 of the same object are bookable at the same time directly. So you have to switch this internal status to public. So now you can see this article is bookable. Now, so I can manage my stock, and here you can see also that the name has to be changed manually. So however I go into this with a serial number, with a license plate, or with the general name, I can just name this in here. I can even delete the ID if I don't have one right now, and it will be saved automatically. Just close it and it's done. So another important thing is, of course, we had before 5 trailers in my main trailer 1. Now that we have cloned this trailer and I have my trailer 2, the stock will not automatically be cloned. So if you want to add some stock, you have to do this manually because it's easier this way to add some more trailers or add some more stock in general than to delete it. Now I go ahead and confirm that, and it has all our settings ready already. So our additional pricing rules, our availability, this will all be copied. So now I go ahead and save this. And because it has the same tag already, the same group tag, it will already be in my booking flow in my steps. I can place that real quick in our widget configurator. I will open my group search, and you will see my trailer 2 is available on here now. And basically that's it.